So I got home from taking my grandkids to lunch and look at these beautiful persimmons. Oh my gosh, I actually got 2 boxes of them this year. I had 1 box last year and they are scrumptious looking. Oh my goodness, look at some of these are as big as my hand. Beautiful. Beautiful. So I am going to think of some things that I can do with these beautiful persimmons. Just gonna sit out here for a little bit. I've got this little swing on my back porch. Just gonna sit out here and enjoy the day. It's really beautiful here today in Southern California. It's about 70 degrees and it's just really nice day. Today I'm going to be working on a tree that it got so overwhelmed with fruit last year that it broke several of the branches. So I'm going to show you how I prune this tree up, and next year when I start to get my fruit, I'm going to make sure that I really go in and thin the fruit and make sure that the branches don't get too heavy. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, I had some real damage from about 3 of my branches. They just completely snapped from the weight of all the fruit. I had so much fruit last year. So I'm going to give this tree a really heavy pruning, and then I'll just show you how I'm going to get it kind of fixed up for next year. Now, if you've never pruned your fruit trees or your trees before, it's really important that you go through and prune them on a yearly or even maybe every other year basis. Now last year I actually did a very light pruning on my fruit trees, and because I've got these broken branches, I'm going to do a very heavy pruning on this one. But typically I just go through and do a light to medium pruning. I'm actually using a pair of loppers. These are kind of a long scissor type of tool that I can go in and use, but you can use a small hand pruner if you've got smaller branches. And typically what I do is I look for I look for the branches that are crossing over each other. I look for broken branches, diseased branches. Oftentimes I'm looking for branches that are, growing down towards the bottom of the ground, and you want to try to get as many of those as possible. Now, in this case, I'm really just trying to shape my tree. I don't have a real strong idea in mind, and I don't want to prune it any more than I have to. But typically what I try to do is leave more of the branches on the outside and prune more of the inside of the tree. And that's called an open center form. And I do that because I like more sun to get into the branches and really, sun them. And it seems to work really good. And I've done this with fruit trees as long as I've been growing them. And it works fantastic. It's really important that you look for any dead limbs, or in my case damaged limbs, or diseased limbs. So you can pretty much tell. After all of these trees are pruned, I'm actually going to take out the bottom as much as I can closest to the ground so I can crawl in there, and I'm going to whitewash the trunk to try to help it so it doesn't get sunburned. Another thing you want to look for when you're pruning are suckers. Now those are not true limbs. You can tell they just look different on the tree. And you want to take those out at the same time you're looking for dead or diseased or overlapping branches. Sometimes you'll notice on a limb there'll be like a whirl of branches kind of all bunched together. I try to take those off. And it's important, if you want to get fruit every year, not to take off too much of the limb, because then you're going to have your trees producing fruit instead of you know, instead of, they're going to be producing wood instead of fruit is what I meant to say. And I think the most important thing throughout the year is thinning the buds, so that you're having bigger fruit and maybe a little bit less of it, so it doesn't put quite the weight on the trees. So I have a really big assortment of fruit trees. I have peaches, plums, persimmons, you know, avocados. I've just got all figs, all kinds of things. And really, I pretty much, you know, prune them all the same way. I just try to make sure that I'm taking a little bit off of the outer branches, looking for those things I was just telling you about, and just making sure that my trees are as healthy as possible going into the spring. Now, I like to do it once the leaves start falling, before it gets real cold. Now, I live in Southern California, so it doesn't ever snow here or get super cold, but it does get cooler and we do have frost. So keep that in mind too. If you're trimming your trees when frost is coming or there's a lot of frost, you do risk, you know, not being able to get your trees healing as quickly as they should. And you can see I'm almost done, and this was actually a big project for me. All right, so I've done some extremely heavy pruning on this tree. I've taken care of all the branches that have broken. And now I'm just gonna put some of this away and get started on another tree. So that's it for today. I just wanted to show you a little bit about how I try to fix up some of my messes. I should have worked harder last year to make sure that I had that fruit trimmed. So this year I had, like I said, several branches broke. I was trying to keep them lifted up with ladders. Nothing was really working. So anyway, I've trimmed everything back quite a bit on that one tree. I realized I don't have room in my trash can to prune another tree, so I'm gonna have to wait till next week, and then I'll work on my Alberta peach tree. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.